Thank you.
And the members of the Development Authority Committee, welcome to the Tuesday, 9th of June meeting.
Can't hear him.
So,
Okay. Can you just pause this or no, not really? Chair, we can't hear you.
I'll be able to.
Well, good afternoon. We finally got here. Thank you. Welcome to the Development of Property Committee of the County of Renfrew for June the 8th, June the 9th. Has roll call been taken? Thank you. Disclosure of pecuniary interest. Does any member wish to disclose any pecuniary interest on any of the matters before us today? And seeing none, I need adoption of the minutes of the previous meeting, which was held on March the 10th. It's moved by Janice, seconded by Ann. No discussion. All in favor? It is carried. Then we'll go on to there's no delegation, Development and Property Department, the department report. Craig, please.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to committee. Item number 1 on my report, page 2. You'll note a resolution being sent to us from the townships of North Algonquin, Wilberforce, and Bonnechere Valley in response to an amendment to the criminal code that was established on May 1st. So this is to deal with the newly amended rules around firearms and their opposition to the new rules that are coming forth. So I don't know if anybody wants to speak to this. Mr. Brose or Ms. Murphy are not here to speak to it. So I'll just let those stand as information at this point unless someone wants to speak to those 2 items. Chair, number 2 is a resolution, and with your indulgence, I'll read the resolution. That the Development Property Committee directs staff to continue with the terms of reference for the COVID-19 Business Support Program, and in consultation with the City of Pembroke, launch the program as timely as possible. And further that the funds be taken from the budget allocated to the Renfrew County Economic Task Force initiatives. So committee hopefully has reviewed, I'm not sure if you want to get a mover on that, Chair, before we get into the discussion on that.
Well, we'll go back and do the first item and then we'll come back to that.
Okay, fair enough. I'll go through the background then we'll
Yep.
talk about that.
Okay.
So the background on this item is, of course, as presented at the May meeting, was the Economic Task Force, Renfrew County Economic Task Force. Council had allocated up to $250,000 from the provision of unallocated funds to go towards the action items as identified by the task force. Part of that was a $200,000 revitalization fund. And as such, we've drafted terms of reference from other communities, and those are represented in the draft terms of reference that you see now and the application form. We've tweaked it since then, since the committee report has gone out, but the intent is much the same as you've seen already. So again, what we're suggesting is of that $200,000 would be a grant fund going through our Enterprise Renfrew County, which is an arm's length organization who deals with grants all the time under the Municipal Act to startup businesses and entrepreneurs under Starter Company and Summer Company and other programs that they offer. And this would be a $5,000 grant program, up to $5,000 grant program for all eligible businesses. At this time, we've reached out to the City of Pembroke to determine if they would like to be part of this program. We would facilitate it for their ratepayers and their applicants, but we would facilitate the intake of applications and provide them to the city for their discussion and approvals should they be part of this program. At this point, they're assessing it, and we do not have an answer as of 1 o'clock this afternoon. So at this point, we're ready to roll. It's whether or not we roll with the City of Pembroke, if you will, or go at it alone for the County of Renfrew ratepayers and small businesses. That's item number 2, sir, and that completes my report.
Thank you very much, Craig. We'll go back to item number 1, Criminal Code of Canada Municipal Resolutions. Any discussion? Janice?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm wondering if we should not support that resolution. I know it's an information item, but those 2 municipalities obviously are reaching out when they CC'd us. So I'd be prepared to make a motion that we support those 2 resolutions going forward.
Okay, fair enough. Further discussion on that before I go back to you, Janice. Any further discussion on that particular information item? I've seen none. So Janice, you're prepared to make a motion. You want to try that? You want to move that?
Yes, I'd like to move that.
We second, we support that. Is there someone there that would like to second that motion? Dan, you're in favor of seconding that? Okay, it's moved by Janice, seconded by Dan. Discussion on that motion to support. Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Pardon me. Peter, do you wanted to talk to this?
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to support it. I think there's limitations in both motions. Specifically, you know, I note they don't mention domestic violence and domestic violence, whether by intimidation or the actual use of firearms, it's there. And you know, I think I recognize the hardship or the extra bureaucratic effort it takes for firearms owners to comply with the regulations, and I have some sympathy for them. But I think, you know, I think the reality is that the guns do need to be regulated, and I recognize that's not a very popular position to be in rural Ontario. But I think, as I said, both resolutions do not address the whole picture. They address the small area, which is primarily the concern of a convenience to gun owners. And they talk about crime. And I know those are feel-good statements for gun owners to make about criminals and smuggling guns and all of that. And I agree with them wholeheartedly. But at the same point, I think there has to be recognition in any kind of a motion that guns do contribute to domestic violence, whether through physical acts with them or intimidation. So I can't support this because I think it's too narrow focus, both motions.
Thank you for that. Further discussion on the motion before us? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Opposed? Pardon me, let me see that again. All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. Opposed? The motion is carried. We'll go forward to resolution, the task force. You heard you saw there is a recommendation there and the background. Any motion for that, please? To support it. The warden was moving this, seconded by Janice. Discussion. Warden and then Brian. Warden, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to, ask Craig to reach out to the city one more time and let them know that we're moving ahead with this because we can't be delaying it. It's extremely important that we get moving on it.
I would agree with that sentiment for sure. Brian?
Yes, I was wondering, Craig, could you tell us how many businesses would be eligible for this?
Craig, please.
Sure. Through you, Chair and the committee and Councillor Hunt. The numbers of businesses is approaching 9,000 across the whole county. So the large ones aren't likely to apply, let's say. I mean, the large manufacturers, it's a small amount. They've already accessed a number of other incentives. I can't specifically say how many are eligible. I would say we've left the parameters fairly wide open that many of the businesses would be, as many as possible.
Okay, so I guess what I'm wondering is at $5,000, before the applicants could be successful. And I'm just wondering if the $5,000 limit maybe is high, because I could see businesses using this, people that are less sophisticated in internet marketing and so on, bringing somebody in to help them get set up and try to revitalize their business through this method, that perhaps more businesses getting a few less dollars, like even if it was $2,500 and you were to bring in a consultant to teach you a bit about the marketing side of it and so on, that perhaps it would be an opportunity to help a few more than the 40.
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and through you. So we've left it as an up to number. We have some experience in reviewing programs and through our own department, through social services and through some other grant programs. And what we've done is often look at eligible costs, and we'll say, okay, maybe not 5,000 of your grant application is worthy of this, and adjust those numbers appropriately. The number was was picked because it's a number very similar to Starter Company Plus, where the businesses get $5,000 to start and mobilize their entrepreneurial business. So if council wants to change the number is not set in stone by any means. It's just a number that has been used prior to with, again, other programs like Starter Company and Summer Company.
Gordon?
Thank you, Chair. I would like us to stay with the 5,000 at this point. However, I think if we see that there's incredible uptake to this program, that perhaps then you could come back to your committee and then to County Council that we may have to increase the actual fund itself.
And that quite frankly, is a distinct possibility. As Craig has said, there's over 9,000 businesses of all size within Renfrew County. I think the statement that Craig made is up to $5,000 could be available to businesses. So I think there's that aspect of it. But Warden, you're absolutely right. This is a beginning. We just don't know what's out there because we've never had to deal with something like this. But I think we have to start something and move something forward to not just show the businesses that we're trying to make things happen, but in fact make it happen for the businesses. I see Dan Lynch.
Thank you, Chair. Do we have a timeline when they have to have the application in? I know you've gone to Pembroke and we're giving them a timeline, but we have one for our businesses, and then we'll have a better view of how many people have actually applied for it. And maybe, as Brian has said, maybe we can have to bring it down. Thanks.
Great, please.
Through you, Chair. Typically what we do is a 2 or 3 week window. In our experience what we've witnessed as an experience in Cornwall, St. Thomas, and other regions across the province, including our own, actually, with a business support loan program that the CFTC organized earlier in the pandemic. The reality is that we'll be inundated, and likely the funds will probably go very quickly. So we will put a 2 week window on this and determine as we go. So it's by the time we want to be able to get out into the press and let the message gestate enough that people will actually apply, as opposed to launch it and everything being done in a day or two. So again, let's put a 2 week window on it and put a deadline as a 2 week window, and then try to get the dollars rolling in the community as quick as possible.
Yeah, I think that's the important thing, is to get the funds out there as quickly as we can. We did receive a letter of thanks from John Yakubuski, and I was going to read that, but when I changed my desk to this computer, I left it there. But maybe if I could get someone to give me that, I'll read the letter of thanks from John Yakubuski and read it into the proceedings here. Thank you very much, Paul. As to Renfrew County Economic Task Force, is from John Yakubuski. Dear members of the Economic Task Force, on behalf of the people of Renfrew, Nipissing, Pembroke, I want to thank you for all the work you've done to sustain our local economy during these unprecedented times. Your innovative ideas, such as Shop the Valley Contest, and your commitment to supporting local economy have made a true difference as we all try and weather the storm together. Please know that your efforts have not gone unnoticed, and I am truly grateful for your dedication and service. And it's signed by John Yakubuski. So it's reached the cabinet minister and John Yakubuski. So I think our efforts are certainly getting out there and being recognized. I think now we should move it forward to implement this. I see the warden again. Warden?
I would just thank you, Chair. I would just like to add my comments to that. We, at each of our task force committee meetings, which were virtual, we had upwards of 30 people representing the business and tourism sectors throughout the county of Renfrew, and they put a lot of effort into that, as well as Craig and his staff in the department. And also, I also want to acknowledge your efforts, as well as Councillor Emo's. You know, when you want something done, you pick two very busy people to do it. So again, I thank you very much for your contributions.
Thank you.
Warden.
Further on that resolution. Seeing none, I'll call for the vote then. All in favor?
Do we have a motion? Do we have somebody?
I think we do. Yes, we do.
Yeah, I did it.
Yes. So I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed, if any, it's carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
With that, we'll go on to the economic development report, which can be found on page 13. Craig?
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Baird is unable to make today's meeting, so I'll carry on with his report. Item number 1 is an information item that our Business Development Officer, David Waibu, along with Alistair, have been busy supporting our agribusinesses, of course, because they're integral to one of the sectors that are key sectors of economic development in Renfrew County. So they have launched OMAFRA, Ontario Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs, has launched a series of programs to help out with the farmers, and that will continue, and again, helping those out through the pandemic crisis. Item number 2, farmers markets and Taste of the Valley. So across the region, some communities have decided not to move forward with farmers markets and some have. So we're coordinating those efforts. Most of the efforts that continue are working well, keeping in mind the social distancing aspects and a lot of curbside pickups with farmers markets. So they will continue, and we are assessing Taste of the Valleys against the provincial guidelines as we move forward through the summer and the fall. Shop the Valley contest, for those who are paying attention on social media, and our own renfrewcounty.com website, we have a contest running that encourages people to buy local, eat local, and shop local. The idea behind it is that when you buy an item, you take a selfie and post that to an email address, and we will be running a contest where we've purchased a number of gift certificates from businesses across the county on a regional basis, and we'll be awarding those as a prize for those in this contest. So it's a bit of an encouragement to get people out and engage themselves socially, responsibly, and hopefully be using a hashtag. For those that are used to hashtags, I know a lot of you are, hashtag Shop the Valley. I know Councillor Wisniewski-Moore is quite adamant to use a hashtag. So as you shop locally and get your haircuts this weekend, take a selfie and post it online and say Shop the Valley. So those are 3 items that Mr. Baird wishes to pass along as economic development report.
Thank you, Craig. We'll go back to item number 1. Questions or comments? Item number 2, the farmers markets. Very important that we maintain and try to keep that going. That's always been a huge success since it started many, many years ago. So let's see how innovative we can be to make sure that we continue to do that. Item number 3, Shop the Valley. That's including Takeout Wednesday, is that correct, Craig?
It includes any time you spend dollars at any local business.
So we're encouraging, as the province says, to take out Wednesday. So support the local restaurants by takeout, pizzas, Chinese food, whatever, chicken, whatever, on Wednesday. Further on 3. No? Okay. With that, then we'll go to the Ottawa Valley Tourist Association, page 14. Craig, please.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to committee. Item number 1, you may recall during my presentation on the task force action items that the tourism sector has been hit quite hard, and quite happy that the province has opened us up regionally for a number of items, including some of the tourism sector and tours and whatnot. However, the OVTA felt long ago that it needed to reach to its members and members of the tourism community to look at how they were delivering their services and a future look on what the OVTA was offering as a value proposition to the community. So they've engaged a contractor, a consultant, Destination Next, and they've completed and are busy completing a survey for all tourism industry stakeholders. So it would be going out to all of you, all industry stakeholders, and a lot of tourism staff to get feedback, and that will form a final report on how the OVTA will handle much of its business moving forward out of into the future, and certainly out of the COVID-19 pandemic. Item number 2, that date is actually a bit of a change. The OVTA annual general meeting is actually going to be into July. They had some issues with June 29th. It would be held virtually, but we'll keep you up to date on those dates as the board votes on dates and where and how it would be held. Item number 3 is that, and this was spoken to as well, I believe at the last council meeting, the OVTA has approved not to charge fees for the 2020-21 year, in a year where tourism businesses are having a tough time operating or not operating at all, that we felt as the OVTA board they felt as the OVTA board to remove those fees as a token of their appreciation to continue in the tourism business, and a bit of a chance for the OVTA and staff to review how the membership is run, and whether it's a new model moving forward to open up membership to businesses beyond those that are paying members. So it's a bit of a chance for us to retool and take a look at the tourism industry as a whole from the board's perspective. And that, Chair, is the OVTA report.
Thank you very much. Go back to item number 1. Questions, comments on that information item number 1? Seeing none. Item number 2. And item number 3. Okay, thank you. And we'll go to Enterprise Renfrew County. The report can be found on page 15. Greg, please.
Thank you, Chair, once again. Another note about Starter Company Plus. We've received 15 new applicants for the new intake for Starter Company Plus. This is, of course, those entrepreneurs who are looking to start a business that are 18 and over. Really great, actually. So even in a time of pandemic where we're seeing possible closures and other difficulties, we are noting that at least 15 new people are wanting to start a new business and become new entrepreneurs in Renfrew County. So that's a very positive indicator that people have confidence in going forward with businesses in Renfrew County. So we're happy to do that. Again, those candidates who work through a series of virtual workshops now will be able to compete against a grant of $5,000 to start up their business, which will help them tremendously as they move forward. Item number 2, of course, is our Summer Company Student program. Summer Company is a program for students to start and launch their own business for young entrepreneurs. And we're seeing a number of those businesses. I think we're up to 5 or 7, the last count, which is 2 more than our allotment that the province has given us money for. So we're just trying to allocate funds to the program to make it work. Students, of course, were hit hard, although yes, they do have a fund being applied to them through the Canada Emergency Student Benefit Program. However, $12.50 a month for those that are in university is not quite enough that to drive it forward. So these businesses or these entrepreneurs will be eligible for up to $3,000 and reward them for becoming young entrepreneurs in Renfrew County. So, Chair, that's the Enterprise Renfrew County report.
Thank you. Go back then to information item number 1. Any questions or comments on 1? Seeing none, item number 2. Seeing none, thank you. Then we'll go to Forestry and GIS. Where's Jason? Jason?
Hi, Chair, and thank you very much. Hopefully you can hear me all right.
Yep.
Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon, committee members, and bear with me while I work through this Zoom technology. Item number 1 for Forestry Activities kind of shows you with this pandemic, forestry and trails do lend itself for this pandemic. They do socially isolate normally. And what you see in the report in front of you on page 16 and 17 is basically a typical report I give to you every month. Not much has been impacted by this COVID pandemic. So item number 1 is just the activity trackers for the months of March, April, and May of this year. And look, you'll notice and highlight with the County Forester, Lacey Rose, the majority of her time is on the management of county forests, both with the management of the operations, this year's operations, and moving forward for the 2021 operations. And you'll also notice with the forestry and trail technician position, Anthony Hobbs' position, where in March, 60% of his time was dedicated to forestry, but then in April and May drops right down as our trail work, field work starts and begins. And further on that, you'll see underneath the May summary is some of the main items staff have been working on the past number of months. And the first one you can find on page 18 and 19 of your committee package is the 2019 annual report that Lacey Rose produces. Again, this is the 5th time that you've seen this report for the different years, and it's a good summary. It provides an easy reading, a good summary of the previous year's activities. Within those pages, again, on 18 and 19, you'll see the harvest operations, a summary of that, the outreach and educations, and the other activities that forestry staff have done in the past year in 2019. Bullet number 2 is just, again, a typical update to this committee Operations are still ongoing for 2020. I'm happy to say that the harvests and the hauling is complete for Simpson Pit, Elliott Tract, and the Opeongo Line Tract. That's the track, if you will recall, committee that took 2 years to release has started. So harvesting has started on the Opeongo Tract, and we're looking forward to have that finalized hopefully by 2021. The second last bullet, with this COVID, before Lacey and Anthony would go out and bring, or not go out, but have some education and outreach to bring kids into the forestry operations and to the field to see what's going on for the outreach and education. Now with the COVID, you'll see a link that Lacey that has for, instead of bringing the kids out to the forestry or forest, the forest through Lacey is coming to the kids through this video. If you have a chance, please review the video. It's a 23-minute video, all done by one person, Miss Lacey Rose, the county forester, with an iPhone. So the technology is fantastic. Please, if you have a chance, take a look at it, review it, and feedback so far from Forests Ontario and from the people that have reviewed it and some of the students, very positive. And I can see why now Lacey has some muddy jobs under her belt. And the last item, again, staff are continuing to prepare for the 2021 operations, still doing the typical forestry work of tree marking, line painting, and things like that. So again, a status quo on the forestry section. Item number 2 in the report, again on page 17, is just an update on the GIS activities. And you'll see that on page 20 and 22, or through to 22, typical operations for GIS. The GIS technician, Angie Schultz, she is dedicated to be working at home, but that has not impacted what we do within GIS, producing maps for the public and supporting 911 and civic addressing activities throughout the county. Item number 3 is the update on the digital raster acquisition project for Eastern Ontario. You'll recall this has been brought forward to this committee a number of times. This project to acquire high resolution air photography for Eastern Ontario, let alone Renfrew County, was started and was supposed to be finished by 2019. And again, due to the weather of last year, very wet and rainy, could not be completed. I'm happy to say this project has been completed. The air photography capture was finalized on May 22nd. And you'll see in the attached map the different locations throughout Eastern Ontario where they've captured the air photography. But I'm very much looking forward to this, the new capture. Again, high resolution will be available on our public website, will be available to staff, both local and county staff, to be digested and used and consumed in many different products. So very happy with this finalization of this project. And the last item in the report, Chair, is just the weed inspection. A typical annual, what you'll see in the report on page 24 is the public notice about weed inspections. Please destroy all noxious weeds as per the Weed Control Act of Ontario. So I have confirmed it. It's been in the local newspapers, even the Leader, etc. So the people that do have noxious weeds, as part of my role as the area weed inspector, I need this to be in the paper. So that's been done and checked off my list. So Chair, that's the end of my forestry and GIS report.
Thank you very much, Jason. We'll go back to the beginning of information item number 1, forestry activities. Any questions? I've seen none. Of any of the bullets that are under number 1? Any comments? Nothing. The GIS, which can be found on page 20, I believe. Any comments on the GIS? The drape update and weed inspection. Any comments on weed inspection? We'll go to the Algonquin Trail Advisory Committee. Craig, please, or Jason, pardon me.
If Craig wants to do it, Chair, by all means, he can do it.
Oh, it's your baby, Jason.
No, I think I better do it, Chair. So on page 25 is on the committee and your committee package is the Algonquin Trail Advisory Committee report. Again, this was from last Thursday's ATAC meeting. The first item for information in your package on page 27 and 28 is just a nice article from Cycling in Ontario 2020. And where in the article, it's highlighting the county-owned, part of the county-owned Ottawa Valley Recreational Trail, and also the county-owned K&P Trail. Very positive article about these trails and the interconnectivity with Eastern Ontario. So, and that's the whole idea of the Ottawa Valley Recreational Trail and the KMP Trail as that connections with Southern and Northern Ontario. So a very good article, again, found on page 27 and 28. Item number 2 for information is discovery routes. With that, we have correspondence from Ms. Jennifer McCourt of Discovery Routes, basically interacting with the County of Renfrew and the Ottawa Valley Recreational Trail, talking about the Voyageur cycling route. So again, committee may remember this was brought to this committee a number of times, where the Voyageur cycling route goes from North Bay all the way to Ottawa, and the Discovery Routes is the lead on this. And so they're bringing this back into fruition, in the sense creating this route both on the Algonquin Trail, the Ottawa Valley Recreational Trail, and in and along municipal and county roads. So what you see in the attachment is the letter from Jennifer McCourt, just saying thank you very much for the county support in this endeavor. Also that they're going to be providing us with signage to sign the Voyageur route through Renfrew County. And also in the package to chair and to committee is just the mobile workshops that happened last year. So some good feedback from this organization of Discovery Routes for this Voyageur cycling. And item number 3, Chair, is the work plan for the Algonquin Trail. So the 2000 work plan, and that can be found on page 25. And again, trails lends itself to this COVID situation where we do most of the work in social isolation and physical distancing. So staff, myself and Anthony Hobbs, been on the field. The status quo as the work plan moves forward. What you see in the committee package is a number of bullets. Not by no means is this all the items we've been working on, but just some of the items to give this committee a flavor of things that are still progressing with the the Algonquin Trail. So again, dust suppression material has been applied to the trail. Happy to say, as directed by this committee and county council, the brushing is complete from Greenwood Road to the Muskrat River, as you see in the bullet. So I want to thank the public works staff, Mr. Lee Perkins and his staff, for getting this the brushing done. That saves money for us to direct somewhere else. But feedback from us and from some people along the trail are very positive, Chair and committee. We're still moving forward on a request for quotes to supply and install 3 control access gates, as we were planning on. And those quotes do end today, closes today. So we'll have an idea of those costs of the 3 control gates that are throughout Renfrew County. Item number 2 are tender documents. Some very positive news. As of late last night, the garrison commander did sign the lease for Renfrew County, between Renfrew County and the garrison Petawawa. I'm sure the chair will speak a little bit more upon this, but again, staff have been working on this lease with garrison staff since 2017. Committee may be aware, or hopefully be aware, we're trying to work through an alternative route around and through the garrison lands, as the garrison wants to have the CP quarter for another activity. So a long time coming. Thank you, Chair, for reaching out at the very last second to get this done. What this will do, we'll have this connectivity back. So again, we had this gap between the garrison, worked very hard in the past 2017, the past 3 years to get this agreement signed. It has been signed. It was brought to our committee and county council back in January. And some minor changes to the agreement, but overall it's pretty well substantially the same. What this will do now, then, with this being signed, we now get to move forward with some of the work to be on the garrison lands in August, September of this year. So what we plan on doing on the garrison lands first and foremost is signage. There's a few wet spots we have to work through, but once this gets going and working with our partners of the snowmobile clubs and the ATV clubs, and including the garrison, this will be a big, huge benefit to have that connectivity all the way to the northern part to Mattawa. So, Chair, do you want me to stop right there, or do you want me to keep going with the report?
Well, let's go right to item number 4, then we can stop at the bylaws.
Okay, thanks, Chair. Item number 4 is a good news article, or articles from the Mill Street newspaper, again, about an Alameda. I pronounce it Alameda, a tree-lined path, a very positive endeavor project for Almont and Mississippi Mills. With this Alameda, where the public will purchase, they're looking to have 200 mature trees to be planted along the path, along the Ottawa Valley Recreational Trail within Mississippi Mills. And again, what you see in the reports or in the articles on page 52 to 55, the public jumped at this. So again, the public's engaging, has engaged with the local municipality to support the trail, and with this trees will beautify that area down in Almont. So staff is looking at the same idea in Renfrew County. We have a number of known locations that could benefit from an Alameda. Again, maybe the Burns Drive area, Petawawa, Arnprior, Renfrew, those areas could be well suited for this. So staff will look at this project, maybe mimic this, and reach out to the public and local municipalities to see how we can benefit from their experience from Mississippi Mills. So that's item number 4, Chair.
Thank you. Okay, we'll stop there and go back to the beginning for the information items. Number 1, cycling in Ontario 2020. Any comments? I think it's fair to say that this has been well received by cycling in Ontario, and I think we should be very proud of the trail system that we've got and have been working on very positive feedback, not only on number 1, but on number 2 as well. But anything on 1? And we'll go to 2. Same situation. Item number 3 on the work plan, I'll talk a little bit about. I'm sorry? Peter? Where are you, Peter? Oh, in the corner. There you go. Okay.
Yeah, that's usually where I am. Thank you. Just to add to your comments, Chair, on item number 1 and 2, and Councillor Lynch will also note that to inform committee, one of the things we talked about was packaging this information up in these glowing endorsements from both of these bodies, but other ones as well, so that they're easy to find for people looking, if they want to find some information about the Algonquin Trail. Then these would almost be like a TripAdvisor notification. You'd read it and say, oh wow, this is a great thing. So we're trying to make it a nice package that allows people a very quick scan of the Algonquin Trail and the amenities and the good experiences. So as the chair has said, this is a really good news, 2 really good news pieces of correspondence.
Thank you. And to add to that, to the committee, this was an absolute bonus for this COVID-19, for people to be able to get out and social distance, get out with their families, cycle, walk, walk with their dog, jogging, and whatever. This was mentioned to me today when I met with the base commander, that it actually kept a lot of people sane over the last 3 months, of their ability to get out there and do some recreational opportunities. And he really praised the fact that we had this trail throughout Renfrew County and right down all the way to Smith Falls. Item number 3, the work plan. Let me just say to you, on the lease finalization with the garrison, this was signed digitally by the garrison commander last night. This is something that we've been chasing, as Craig has, as Jason has alluded to, for a little bit longer than 2017, when we found out that part of this trail was perhaps in question, and we began working with the garrison. This is a 5-year deal that the base commander or the garrison commander has signed, which is up to the maximum that he can, in fact, sign. The entire lease has gone to the Justice Department somewhere, and Dan, you would know where it is. It's in Ottawa somewhere, some federal D&D situation. He feels it might take a little longer than 5 years to get the 25-year term in place, and nonetheless, he will recommend to the incoming commander that at an additional 5 years, should it not be done within that time frame, be put in place. So it's a really good news story, and allows us to do some planning with regards to that. For those who are on that trip, we took it 2018, 2 years ago. It certainly needs a little bit of work, and I did indicate that with MTO and some of the stone dusting that we might be able to get in there sooner than later. so that we can continue the work to make that a continuous trail all the way through to North Bay, not North Bay, but to Mattawa. So good news. Congratulations to all those who worked hard on that, trying to get it completed. We now have that in place for at least 5 years, with an option for a further 5 years. Anything on the work plan? And on item number 4, I just want to comment on item number 4, and Jason didn't talk about it, where this particular event or this structure could be put in place is in Almont. And for those who were not around at the time when we actually acquired the Ottawa Valley Recreation Trail, if there was one hot spot for sure within the trail, it was in Almont. People just did not want that at all, period. And there was a lot of pushback on this particular trail, et cetera, et cetera. Now we see where they're going. They want to beautify the trail and work with the Ottawa Valley Recreation Trail in Lanark County to make it enhance that particular situation. I agree. It's a very nice looking situation, and it's something that we could perhaps take a look at eventually in Renfrew County. So where Lanark was up in arms over this in the Almont area, they're now embracing this trail. So further on 4. Then we'll go to the bylaws, Renfrew County All-Terrain Vehicle Club Land Use Agreement. Jason, please.
Thanks again, Chair, and thanks for further clarity on my items. Number 5 for the bylaws is the Renfrew County All-Terrain Vehicle Club Land Use Agreement. And I'll read the recommendation, Chair, and then give some brief background. So the recommendation that the Development and Property Committee recommend that County Council adopt a bylaw to enter into a lease agreement with Renfrew County ATV Club, and further that this lease agreement commences on June 1st, 2020 and expire on November 30th, 2025. And as for background, we brought this draft lease to committee and D&P and County Council before. We've worked through some of the details, and we're accepting of this lease. With this lease, this will give legal access to the Renfrew County ATV Club. This will benefit the County of Renfrew with trail maintenance. They're willing, built into the lease, they're willing to grade the trail twice a year. They're willing to look at some of the brush removal and even patrol the trail through their programs too, to help us with some of the hotspot areas of Renfrew County and the Algonquin Trail. So it's a very positive thing. This is a type of item that staff is looking at all the time, creating these partnerships. Just to make sure that this committee is aware, the Renfrew County ATV Club is willing to enter into this legal agreement, even though there's no trail pass needed to access the Algonquin Trail. So it's a positive for Renfrew County. We're keeping a no trail pass system, but the Renfrew County ATV Club is willing to enter into this agreement to get access to the trail. So any sections of the trail that are currently not open, we will review with the Renfrew County ATV Club if they're interested in opening these sections to ensure that there's proper signage, brushing, and the typical things we always look for when we open up a section of the trail. So that, Chair, is the first bylaw.
Okay, well, we'll stop right there, and we'll deal with that bylaw. If you're comfortable with this, I need a motion to move that forward. Peter, seconded by Dan. Discussion on this motion. Having seen none, then I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed, if any, it's carried. And we'll go to the next recommendation, item number 6, the town of Petawawa.
The last item, Chair, in the report is a recommendation that the Development and Property Committee recommend that County Council amend bylaw 45-19 for the execution of a land use agreement with the town of Petawawa to extend the twinning of the Algonquin Trail to include the section of trail from the town center all the way to Portage Road Boulevard. I think we have to do a bit of a friendly amendment, Chair. It should be from all the way to the Petawawa River Bridge structure. So if I ask for clarity, if I could, to have that included in the report. It's the extension basically of 900 meters from Portage Road all the way to the Four Seasons structure on the Petawawa River, where the town intends to pave that last remaining section of the trail to have it continuous all the way through to the Garrison lands. So that's approximately, I do believe, about 6 to 8 kilometers, I do believe, of paved trail within the town of Petawawa. And so with this amendment of the bylaw, we'll reach all the way to the Petawawa River and Garrison lands. Thank you, Chair.
So with your indulgence committee, we're going to change that from the town center to the Four Season Bridge. Is what you're actually saying, Jason, is that correct?
Yes, and I apologize for that mistake and over not seeing that further sooner.
So you're comfortable with that change that we're putting in there? Yeah. I don't need to amend that, do I? Friendly amendment or anything? No? Yes? Friendly amendment? Paul?
Chair,
Can't hear you.
I was just wondering if it was moved in second.
It hasn't been moved and seconded yet.
Okay.
So if we move it and second it, and it will read from the town center to the Four Seasons Bridge. That would be the recommendation.
Yeah.
Right, okay. If you're comfortable with that in your motion, please. Then we'll speak to it if you wish. Peter, seconded by the warden. Okay, just a little bit of discussion on that. What we're talking about there is a very small section that is from Portage Road to the Four Seasons Bridge, which goes across the Petawawa. On the far side of that bridge, it has already been paved, asphalt, all the way through the base, some 15, 16 kilometers, something of that nature. And it's to allow the town, which has received a tender on this particular initiative, subject to this being approved, to allow us to go on there and pave that section from what is referred to as Portage Road to the Four Seasons Bridge. That would give a continuous asphalt loop from for those who know the town, from Boston Pizza all the way through the base and back in a loop back into the town again. That currently is not in place because of the COVID-19, but when the COVID-19 situation is removed, or when we remove the restrictions, the garrison will remove the restrictions and we can get in there and do our work, and it'll be open as well. That's an alternative to everyone going on the stone dusting. It's a separate trail through the built-up portion of the town. That's an explanation of what that's all about. Further comments, or are there any comments on the recommendation, item number 6? Peter. If you're talking, I can't hear you.
No, I am now. I couldn't find the cursor. Thank you, Chair. Just to say that this is the kind of thing I think I know I certainly was looking forward to when we purchased the property to get the trail and to develop it as a trail. This is the kind of initiative that I was hopeful that all communities along the trail would take the opportunity to tailor it and the look of it to reflect their community and to integrate it into their existing trail infrastructure or recreational properties. So kudos to you and your council and your administration. I think it's a good example of what we were hoping it would evolve to. And I think, when I look at what Armpire has done with through Councillor Lynch's efforts and his council as well, in terms of doing that, making the green space green through there and maintaining the grass. And those are the kinds of things that, hopefully the rest of the communities will follow suit, evolve the trail to a standard that makes it attractive for people as they journey through it.
Thank you for that. Yeah, just by way of enhancement, we have solar lights on there and benches and waste receptacles. There's going to be beautification and flowers and flower boxes and all that sort of stuff. So it'll be a nice walk. It's about 16 kilometers for those who are energetic enough to get out there and walk, 18 maybe kilometers, something like that. Further on 6. If not, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Opposed? Opposed of any? It's carried. Thank you. With that, we'll go to real property, which can be found on page 70. Who's speaking to that? Kevin?
Yes,
There you
thank
go,
you, Chair.
Kevin.
Item number 1, real property, the service delivery improvement project. With the approval by County Council to award the tender for this project, the following initiatives have been completed or underway. We've confirmed with the contractor, Jumac Construction, of the award. Right now, we're finalizing contract documents, bonding, insurance, the CCDC construction contract, and we're just finalizing all those documents. We are having a startup meeting with the contractor and the architect on June 15th, and we'll be reviewing protocols, mobilization, and reviewing the project schedule and staging. The second item under that is follow up with the City of Pembroke on the status of the building permit. We submitted the application approximately 4 weeks ago. We got some minor comments back, and there are no issues with having the building permit in place for the construction. In fact, I'm going to be issuing the check for that permit this week. Item number 2, the real property, the service delivered improvement project, departmental relocations. As part of the construction phasing, we need to move some of the departments in order to accommodate the construction work. Currently, the Emergency Services Department on 2nd floor has been relocated to Renfrew County Place, and they are now operational at that facility. The Development and Property Department on 2nd floor has also been vacated. Staff are working from home and in designated work areas. This will allow phase 1 of the construction project to proceed as soon as the contractor is on site and mobilized. Item number 3, the rock removal in the Hard Rock Cafe. The removal of the rocks is scheduled for the weekend of June 13th and June 14th. They'll be drilling holes in the rock. They were going to use a grout initially that expands and slowly breaks it up, but they've since said they want to use a hydraulic process that will be quicker for that process. We're providing hoarding and dust protection. If you look down in there, you'll see those, that is in work presently. And the rock removal will facilitate the installation of steel columns, which are needed for the floor that we're putting above for the front reception area. And that concludes my report, Chair.
Thank you very much, Kevin. We'll go back to item number 1. Questions? Seeing none, item number 2. Item number 3. Okay, thank you. And the last report that we have, just a short report from Charles on planning. Charles, please.
Thank you, Chair, members of the committee. Everybody can hear me okay?
Yep.
Thank you. So the first item is the Planning Division Activity Tracker going all the way back to March. I've now reported on these to committee, and you can see the numbers there. For the period January to May 2020, we've opened 34 severance applications compared to 40 over the same period in 2019. With respect to decisions, we've rendered 24 versus 52 over the same period last year. We've also approved a part law control exemption bylaw and final approval to a plan of condominium in the township of Greater Madawaska. OPA 25 is the second item, and attached on page 77 is a letter that the warden wrote to the minister, and I think it captured the issues that County Council had with OPA 25, the way the process occurred. We've requested a deferral. We'd also, if we get a deferral, we'd like to talk about addressing some of the modifications and maybe having them changed. So we'll see whether that takes fruit, that letter. We've also, in response to OPA 25, we received a number of resolutions and letters from 5 municipalities in the county expressing the same kind of thoughts, and I've just indicated that those 5 municipalities represent more than a quarter of all the local municipalities in the county of Renfrew. That, Mr. Chair, concludes my report.
Okay, we'll go back to item number 1, the activity tracker. Those are pretty slow out there. Item number 2 then. Janice.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to congratulate the warden and to you, Mr. Cheeseman, on the letter. It was well done. I think it highlights the concerns that we have. KH&R is going to be heavily hit if this OP, even though they're saying it's finalized, hopefully we can convince them that it's not a good thing. I'm also glad Mr. Morrow has set up the Zoom meeting with Mr. Yakabuski. As Minister of Natural Resources, I would like an opportunity to have a piece of him to explain to me why my whole township is deer yards and all the other stuff and stop of development. So I give congratulations to the warden on an excellent letter. I think it really does highlight the feeling of the county chambers, and to Mr. Morrow for setting up the meeting with Mr. Yakabuski, who represents us at the table. And we have to remind the Premier of Ontario that he was going to get rid of red tape. Boy, if you ever want to see red tape, I want to look at that OP, and it's full of it. And so kudos to everybody that's involved. And my municipality, we are sitting back waiting to see what the county's doing. And then any support that we can offer, then we'll move forward. But I will relay to my council the excellent job you've done so far in trying to reach this government to explain that OP is just not going to work for this county. And well, especially my concern is, and all the county, but KH&R is heavily hit. So thank you to all of you for what you've done. And I look forward to moving forward and hopefully convincing the government of trying to pull back. So thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Father Peter?
Yes, and again, just to add my words to Councillor Wisniewski-Moore's, to the warden and to staff for the letter. Very well written, and it's very succinct and clear as to what the issues are. You'll note in your package the town of Renfrew's concerns. We think that the growth allocation numbers is not a necessary control for any community in Renfrew County. As we're all aware, our growth has hovered over 1% for the last 10 years for sure. So it's not as if we're outgrowing our boundaries and outgrowing our ability to serve our residents, whether with land for septic tanks and wells or for internally in the urban centers with exceeding the capacity of our wastewater and water to handle more housing. So we think it's an unnecessary level of control, ill thought out, and definitely meant to advertently or inadvertently be punitive. And so we're in complete lockstep with the county on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Father. Well, I'll throw in my 2 cents worth. I made the pitch about 3-4 months ago to the province on behalf of the county and lower tier municipalities, all of us, with regards to this this provincial policy statement and the official plan. And we did make some gains at that time, but for those areas that we were in disagreement with, it was my understanding after leaving that meeting, there would be an opportunity for staff and ourselves to sit down with the province and have a discussion to see if there was any common ground that we could reach with regards to those areas that we were in disagreement with. I think it's fair to say, and we've just seen the tip of the iceberg here with the resolutions that have come in from the various municipalities. This official plan and the provincial policy statement will impact every municipality within Renfrew County. It's very disappointing that we were not given the opportunity to sit down with those areas that we did not get agreement with, and all of a sudden we've got this in front of us. My own community has some concerns about the growth situation. I'm not sure that we totally understand it. We have a planner who's trying to explain this and doesn't really have a grasp on it. And it's very difficult to work with this particular situation if you don't really fully understand it. And so I think we have to come up and develop some sort of strategy. And we don't have very much time because I think tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock, we're meeting with John to go over this particular situation. I understand that the planning group within the county of Renfrew have met. All the various planners have had an opportunity try and make sense of this particular official plan and give examples of how this may impact various minor variances, which could change very drastically in terms of the actual cost to get a minor variance, the OP amendments, how that will work. Certainly the growth issues are another area that certainly have places like myself in the town of Petawawa, which is a growth area, as is Amper, and most recently I see Renfrew has got a very large opportunity to grow there. I think this will stifle growth and trying to work our way through this. And so it is disappointing that that we were not brought into the fold, so to speak, and try and work our way through this thing. So I think it's a great opportunity, but I'm just a little concerned that that we have perhaps, well, let's put it this way: we'll need to work hard to develop a strategy going forward for tomorrow's meeting at 4 o'clock as to how we're going to do that. But I think it's fair to say, and I'm just going to repeat myself, every municipality in Renfrew County is going to be impacted by this particular provincial policy statement. I think Paul wants to speak to this. And then I see the warden. Warden, you want to say something?
Sure.
Yep, okay. Then Paul and then the warden. Okay, warden, you go ahead first.
Oh, thank you very much, Chair. So I just want to reiterate too the effort that has been put on by our staff over the last more than a year to do this. I think we were all taken off guard, and I want to be fair to Minister Yakabuski. He again didn't expect this to happen. So you know, he certainly reached out to me earlier last week and is, you know, willing to meet with us. He's willing to sit down and have a conversation. So I think that you're absolutely correct. We need to be prepared to present our issues to Minister Yakabuski tomorrow afternoon. I think we will be doing that. So although, you know, this has to be no opportunity for appeal, I think that the fact that our MPP is willing to sit down, there is a door that's going to be open for us. I hope that anyway.
Yeah, and before I go to Paul, there's a lot of opportunities or a lot of plans out there that are very, very close to being approved. But this implementation of this new policy statement will put us in jeopardy, and they will have to deal with the environmental impact studies that are now in part of this whole new provincial policy statement. I know Killaloo Haggerty is a deer yard, and that has got you upset. As I was saying to Paul and Charles, breaking news, as they would say in CNN. Petawawa has just found sand. The whole of the town is on sand. Wow, there's breaking news for you. No one ever told us up in Petawawa we have sand, but it's now part of the mapping situation, which will give us some, I mean, we've built 1,000 homes in the last, 8 years, and there's sand there. Wow, CNN's breaking news, we've got sand in Petawawa. Wow, over to you, Paul. Pardon me? Oh, I see. Okay, fair enough. Anybody else wish to speak to this? Okay, that's an information item. So we've got a little bit of work to do before 4 o'clock to try and put together a strategy with this that encompasses and captures all of the issues that we've got within the family of Renfrew County. And it's everyone from the smallest to the largest that's going to be impacted by that. So to Charles, thank you, Charles, for trying to navigate this this minefield that we've got called an official plan and the provincial policy statement. And we'll be calling on you pretty hard in the next little while to come up with something. But as I say, it is disappointing that we were not asked to be part of this at the end. So with that, what else have we got? Nothing on that. Then we'll go to new business. There's one item, pardon me. Oh, I need to take the report as a whole. Janice, seconded by Dan Lynch. All in favor to accept the report? It's carried. Thank you. Under new business, any new business, folks? Just the one. I want to make sure that I know our friends in the United Kingdom are under the COVID-19 situation, but we've had an opportunity to network with them in the last little while. And Craig, I don't know if you can give me an update as to where we are with that. We're talking about economic development and opportunities, thinking outside the box. Can you give me our committee a bit of an overview or an update on that one, please?
Thanks, Chair, and through you. So way back when in March, committee may recall, we set some terms of reference for the twinning project with Renfrew in Scotland, and we're just awaiting those to go to County Council later this month in June, just to bring that resolution back into for approval. I have reached out to my colleagues there, and they've reached out back and forth. So they are under lockdown, under lock and key, as we have been. Strangely, maybe not so strangely, watching their social media feeds and what's going on in the news in Renfrewshire. They are dealing with many of the same issues. Their schools are closed, but slowly reopening. Regional opening of childcare, which I see is happening now in Ontario as effective today, and other things. Again, the synergies are incredible. So I think as we move forward through this in a virtual basis, at the very least, we will be looking forward to working with Renfrewshire even more and sharing the same feelings and the same things that we've had to deal with together through the pandemic.
Fair enough. Thank you for that, Craig, pardon me. Further, a new business. Then nothing for closed?
Yes, sir, there is a closed meeting today.
There is?
We do have a closed meeting. Yes, we do.
None at the time. Okay.
That was, yeah. It was a late edition last night, sir.
Okay, fair enough. We need a motion then to go into closed. What is the purpose of the closed meeting?
For solicitor and client privilege, sir.
Okay, there you go. Need a motion to go into closed. Dan, Peter, all in favor? We're now in closed. Is everyone on their own so that there's
We'll
nobody?
just pause for a moment while Sean
Sean,
closes the meeting.